Hello everyone, my name is Rod Edwards with Dark Tavern Press, and I recently went to a screening of the newest release from Peter Jackson. It was The Hobbit, the Desolation of Smaug. I'm sure you've all heard of it by now. It came out this holiday season. And I'm here to do my first video review. So, let's get started with what I like to call, at least for now, the good, the bad, and the tolerable. The good. First, let me start by saying that the second part of this extended trilogy was much more rewarding than its predecessor, The Unexpected Journey. There's just a lot of great things in this movie that really helped this movie shine a bit. But the character's development was much more extensive in this film, which, I mean, you can argue that the first movie had the job of setting up the storyline and so forth. So this movie had more room, also as sort of a middle installment, kind of like, I'm not going to necessarily put it on the same tier as Empire Strikes Back, but had more time for character development. Bilbo and Thorin to a lesser degree, as well as Keeley and a new character, Bard, they had something to say and reasons to say it other than just being part of the grand plot, you know. But now, there has been a lot of buzz. One thing I want to talk about, there's been a lot of buzz about the inclusion of Tauriel, the female elven captain of the guard, created by Jackson exclusively for this chapter in the film series. Purists say that it's an insult and a travesty, while supporters are calling it a brilliant addition to the Hobbit franchise. I, for one, am in the latter camp. Evangeline Lilly's Tauriel adds a warmth and a humor to this film, and that I think it's sorely missing. Not to mention a little bit of romantic tension, which actually helps ground the film. You know, you don't think about it, but let's face it, we don't know what it means to fight giants and goblins and go on epic quests to reclaim a kingdom, but we can understand things like love and attraction and devotion, and it makes it far more real than any special effect. Now, the bad. Okay, the good part is there's not much either bad or intolerable, but I do need to feel I need to address them. There's not much here. I will say this, that certain scenes would benefit from some trimming. As I mentioned before, the battle sequences are a little too long. The barrel escape and goblin pursuit seems to go on forever. It's well done, it's kinetic, but after a while it's tiring. And I think that Jackson is trying to recapture sort of that excitement from Lord of the Rings. Well, when the battle's on a much smaller scale, you kind of need to trim it down a little bit. And I mean, when you have literally, 20,000, 30,000 troops, there's plenty of room for combat scenes. But they felt a little long in this smaller film. Also, later in the movie, Gandalf participates in sort of a wizardly battle. The way it was shot, and I don't want to give too much away, but the way it was shot felt repetitive, it felt forced, and I didn't care for it. I mean, I realized it was a necessity to the plot, but I didn't care for it. So, anyway, finally, some of the writing in the film's finale seemed a bit strained. The dialogue and the logic suffered tremendously during the confrontation between Bilbo, the dwarves, and Smaug. But the action, to give it credit, the action did help hide this fact a bit, so that's something. Finally, the tolerable. The cutaway scenes seem more fluid this time around. I had a big problem in the first movie with the way the scenes were cut. They seemed almost jarring and uncomfortable, to be honest with you. They weren't as abrupt as they were in the first film this time. Scenes flowed more naturally, but this still needs a little work. Also, the CGI seemed a bit dodgy at times, just occasionally. Most noticeably, one of the early scenes featuring Radagast's sleigh, very brief, but it bothered me. And some of the effect shots of Smaug's cavern deserve some TLC. All I can say about that is, I mean, there's a lot going on in that cavern, so, but I think it could have been a lot better. So in conclusion, to wrap it up, I really enjoyed watching Jackson build this trilogy into a true prequel of Lord of the Rings, which the original Hobbit was not. There's a lot of scene setting and a lot of background material that Tolkien wrote later that was included, and that's how Jackson is sort of padding this short story into 3 movies, was including all this background material that really makes it a true prequel. I mean, it really helps build it up into the movies that Lord of the Rings are leading up to Lord of the Rings is what I'm trying to say. for instance, I mean, in the original Hobbit, from what I recall, Bilbo just had this ring that made him invisible, and there wasn't a lot of weight to it. It was just sort of a nifty little thing. But this movie really helps set the prequel up for future movies very well. So, in conclusion, as I said, I really love what Jackson is doing here, setting these movies up as prequels, as true prequels. I love the scenes with Toriel and Keeley and the inclusion of Legolas giving Glowin a hard time. I thought that was a really fun sort of reprise / foreshadow to the characters of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I applaud the ending. I know a lot of people felt maybe slighted or let down, but I love the ending. It left me wanting more. Well, let me put it this way. Overall, I give The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, 4 out of 5 stars. It was fun. It was, again, a better story and better executed. So, truly enjoyable film. So I highly recommend it. And that's it. So this is my first review. If you guys like it, I'll keep doing more. Please leave your comments below. If you're on YouTube, sorry. You can also visit us on Facebook at Shroud of the Ancients, and my handle there is Shroudmaster. And also you can visit our website at darktavernpress.com. All right. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.